Hey guys, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2019 Ram 1500 Classic, and I'm going to be installing the Putco LED blade tailgate light bar. There's a few functions that this is going to give you. One, it's going to add a nice style to the back of the vehicle. Two, it's going to give you added light features. So it's going to give you a brake signal, turn signal, and running light signal. But what's going to set it apart from others, it's also going to give you that reverse light signal. So with the added turn signals, brake lights, running lights, and reverse signal, on the safety side, let's say one of our bulbs goes out on our tail light, maybe a brake light or a turn signal. We're going to have that added one on here, so we can get to wherever we're going, maybe to an auto parts store, to get that bulb replaced as quick as possible. Keep in mind, this is not to replace your factory tail lights, but it is going to let everyone know around you what your intentions are, whether you're turning or braking. This light's going to be designed for full-size trucks. It's going to be 60 inches in length, and another thing that's going to set it apart from others is you'll notice that the light spans all the way across. Some of the other ones may have single bulbs that kind of span across it and kind of leave gaps in there, where this is going to give you a lot of extra light. This light bar is going to have over 2,030 LED bulbs, which is going to separate it from a lot of other ones, because a lot of other ones may have single bulbs that run across and kind of leave dark gaps in there. You can see our light spans all the way across. Same thing with our reverse light. Our reverse light is actually going to be 3,000 lumens, and that white light is going to span from one end to the other. So everyone's going to be able to tell that we're backing up. You can see that this light is very bright. Everyone around us is going to know what we're doing. Another thing that's going to set this apart is, you'll notice on a lot of other LED lights, our turn signals are going to be red. Where on this one, they're amber. And again, it's going to be a solid light all the way across. We don't have bulbs with spacing in between. So it gives us a very bright light for our turn signals, as well as our running lights and our brake lights. This light bar is going to be a completely sealed unit, so it's going to be waterproof. It's going to work under the harshest weather conditions, as well as some of the chemicals that you may use when washing your vehicle. We're not going to have to worry about the chemicals getting in there and damaging the light. In my professional opinion, I really like this light. The installation is very simple. I actually like how bright it is. I like the functionality of it. I think I'm going to put this on a couple of my vehicles because of how bright it is, and having that reverse light signal in there that comes all the way across really adds a nice touch to it. As far as the installation, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It's going to have a 4-pole plug that you can drape over your bumper and plug it directly into your factory plug here each time you want to use it, which can kind of be a pain in the butt. You can tie it directly into your factory wiring or splice it into your factory wiring. Or Kurt has a T-connector that plugs into the back here, and you can plug that 4-pole plug into the back of that 5-pole plug to give you your functions. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let me walk you through how to get it installed. One thing to keep in mind is we're installing this on a truck that has incandescent bulbs. If your vehicle has LED bulbs, the installation may be a little bit different. You just want to make sure you follow the instructions. To start our installation, before we remove our tailgate, what I like to do is look at the spacing between our bumper and the bottom of our tailgate. I like to put a mark about center in between the two. That way we're not putting our light too high to where when we open our tailgate it hits it, or we're not putting it too low to where our bumper is actually hiding the light function. So mark it on both ends. This is initially about where we're going to be placing our light. Once you've made your mark, go ahead and remove your tailgate. There's a little lock on here that holds the shock onto the bracket. Take a small screwdriver and we're going to pop that loose like that, and that will allow us to pull that off. You can do this on top or bottom. Push that back in place there, just like that. Before we completely remove our tailgate, we're going to pop this little plastic bracket off here. We need to unplug our light, or our reverse camera. It might be a little bit easier to come down here to the bottom and do it. Push this red tab up, and you're going to push this black tab here to separate your wires. Like that. Once you take off your other cable on the other side, make sure you hold your tailgate so that it doesn't sit on your bumper and potentially scratch it. On the back side here on the passenger side, there's going to be a little opening. We're going to take it and we're going to pop that side out. Like that. So it might be easier if you get a second set of hands. Once you get the passenger side off, you're going to kind of have to pry off the other side, but you're going to pull it towards the passenger side. And then we'll set our tailgate aside. We're going to take our white wire and our 4-pole end. On our driver's side, we're going to feed it down behind our bumper to the underside of the vehicle. Including the box. Next, we're going to take some rubbing alcohol and we're going to clean off the area where we're going to be putting our light. There's a couple different options for mounting our light. You're going to have some little plastic strips like this. You can take a self-tapper. You can place them on there to hold them in place, and then your light snaps into place. You can take the tape that comes in it. You can put it on the back, stick it on there, pop your light in to hold it in place. Keep in mind these are plastic. Cold weather can cause these to be brittle, and if they break, then your light's not being held in anymore. What I like to do is to use the adhesive tape on the back of the light and stick it directly to the panel itself. We have one obstruction, which is going to be this part here, which is for removing our spare tire. You can see where I marked it. This is where my light is actually going to sit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out. I'm just going to cut off the lip here. Popping it out is pretty easy. There's just a tab on the bottom and on the top, just like that. And all we're doing, like I said, is we're just going to cut off this lip here. We're not going to cut off the back. So I'm just going to take a rotary tool with a plastic cutting blade and we'll shave that down. Once we get it cut, we'll go ahead and put it back in place. We'll take our light, do a quick test fit, and see how we're going to line up. I want to make sure that we're still going to be able to use it and our light's not going to get in the way. Looks like we're pretty good. So now what we'll do, we'll take our light, we're going to turn it over. You're going to get an adhesion promoter for the back of the light. We're going to wipe this on. Now we're going to take our two-sided tape. We'll peel off the backing. And we're going to evenly spread these out. I'm going to put one at the end, and then I'll split the two in the middle and evenly space them. Kind of press it into place like that, and we'll just work our way down. Once we get our tape on, we'll go ahead and peel off the other side. What I like to do is, before you stick it on, try and get it lined up as much as possible. Evenly spaced there. We'll push it in place, and we're going to work our way down both sides to make sure that our light is going to be straight. It's not doing a curve. There's a couple different ways when it comes to our wiring that we can get it attached. Since this light has a reverse light wire, you can take your 4-pole plug and you can plug it directly into your 4-pole plug on the back anytime you want to use it. You can cut this off, tie it into your factory wiring or splice it in. White wire is going to be for your reverse wire, or with being a new truck, splicing into the factory wiring could potentially cause a warranty issue, so we have a solution, and that is to add a T-connector like this with a 5-pole end that has a reverse wire in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this, cut this wire, and add our white wire directly into this. That way we don't have to touch our factory wiring at all. This is a T-connector by Kurt with a 5-pole plug. You can find it here at etrailer.com. Now what we're going to do is we're going to unplug our factory 7-pole plug off the back and add this in. This is going to be our factory 7-pole. All we're going to do is push, there's a black tab on the side here. Like that. This little tab right here. What I suggest doing before you put any new wiring in place, take some dielectric grease, put it on your connections. If you don't have dielectric grease, you can find it here at eTrailer. That's going to help any moisture. If you saw when I pulled the plug off, there was a lot of water there. This is going to help keep all of your connections from corroding. Put it on here, and then we're going to put it on our new plug that we're installing. We'll take this, get it right in line with our factory one. Plug that in to our 7-pole plug. We'll take this end. Even though it's 5-pole, it's still going to work with 4. We'll plug it together. Like that. And then this last pin is going to be our reverse light signal. As I mentioned, we're going to take this wire, we're going to cut this blue one, we're going to tie our white wire into that blue wire, which is going to give us that reverse light signal on the new LED light strip. I'm going to take a zip tie, I'm going to run it around my plug like this. This will help hold my plugs together. You can, if you really want to, you can cut these off and splice them together. It's really up to you. Now we'll come up to our blue wire, cut it. I suggest, since we are splicing this wire, use heat shrink butt connectors. It doesn't come in your kit. You can find those here at etrailer.com also. We'll take our white wire, strip it back. We can just cut this wire off. We're not going to need it. And we'll take our heat source and shrink that up. I suggest using a heat gun instead of an open flame. If you don't have a heat gun, you can find these here at eTrailer also. When you heat shrink a butt connector, you want to try and get the air bubbles out, but if you look right there at the end, how that liquid's kind of coming out, that's the glue on the inside. You want to see that. That way it seals that in from any moisture or water getting inside there. I'm going to take a little bit of electrical tape, go around the butt connector. I actually like to put electrical tape on the butt connector while it's hot. Kind of helps the glue on the tape stick to it, gives it a little bit of extra protection. Sometimes using the heat source on some of these butt connectors, sometimes they'll get a little bit of a little hole in them. You just want to make sure you seal everything up. We'll put our wire loom back in place. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape from here all the way around my plug, and then I'll tape that white wire here. We'll take all this, bundle it up, stick it up inside, zip tie it to our factory wiring. Now that we have everything hooked up, we're going to go ahead and test it out. Left turn, right turn, brake lights, running lights, reverse. You can see what I did here. I took all my wire, bundled it up, and I have some factory wiring right on the top side of my frame rail. I just took some zip ties and zip tied it up there. My box is zip tied the factory wiring there. You want to make sure you leave that fuse where it's accessible. So if you ever have an issue, you can put a new fuse in it. Install your tailgate, reverse order from the way you took it off. And don't forget to plug in your rear camera. Other than that, that's going to do it for a look at an installation on the Putco Blade LED tailgate light bar on our 2019 Ram 1500 Classic.